Alright, so I am presenting Et in Arcadia Ego 3. So I was chapter 3. Um, the passage that I chose to do was on page 73 of the old book. Um, so I'll give you a little pretext before. This is coming directly after uh, Sebastian gives Charles his first letter in which his dad, being Charles, gives it to him. Some points that I want to make in that letter. Sebastian says, "I am never quite alone," and this will come into my actual passage. So the passage I chose is here as follows. I saw in my eyes the pale face of Anthony Blanche, peering through the straggling leaves as it had peered through the candle flames at Thame, and heard, above the murmur of traffic, his clear tones. You mustn't blame Sebastian if at times he seems a little insipid. When I hear him talk, I'm reminded that in some ways nauseating picture of bubbles, boredom, like a cancer in the breast. For after that I thought I hated Sebastian. So here, this is coming in direct response to the letter that Charles had just received from Sebastian, stating that he wanted him to come and visit him. He was alone, and that Charles was his only true friend who he could rely on. So, as Charles gazed into the garden, the only thing he could see was, as it says, the pale face of Anthony Blanche peering through the straggling leaves as it had peered through the candles at Thame, where he and Anthony had previously met. So one of the main points in this passage that I want to take a look at is there's a cultural reference in that of being, when I talk to him, I'm reminded of that nauseating picture of bubbles. Um, it's really Bubbles. It was a painting, as I have looked up here, is a painting by Sir John Everett Milias. He was a 19th century artist, and the picture is, as I looked up online, it is a picture of a kid sitting on a bench blowing bubbles. Um, so, really, what I thought this meant to be, um, it's kind of relating back to Sebastian's childish tendencies as we see throughout the book, and especially in the first couple chapters. He's kind of referred to as insipid, lacking flavor, interest. So it's really just saying when he's looking into the garden, he's seeing the reminded face of Sebastian as that child blowing bubbles into the air. Boredom, like a cancer in the breast, really lacking nothing deeper than a child. Um, Obviously, childs can be very elaborate and whatnot, but the true nature of a child is they're not as interesting as they can be, as they will be in the future. So what I really came to this to see is, and after this important passage, the nauseating picture of bubbles, boredom, like a cancer in the breast. Charles comes out and says, "For days after that, I thought I hated Sebastian." The key word here is thought. Um, so after all this passage and the letter and seeing Anthony Blanche in the garden, he only thought. This passage really represents the friendship that Charles and Sebastian have and will continue to have in the near future. One other point I wanted to say is the painting of bubbles. It says, as I found on Wikipedia, was acquired by Pease Soap Company for advertising purposes. And something that I looked up online, it was saying that since it was used for advertising purposes, it was so widely seen, and the fact that Anthony Blanche says it brought off it was a nauseating picture. Kind of brings up the point that um, he may have had a sense of like jealousy for Sebastian, maybe for the sense of relationship that Charles and Sebastian had with each other, and that Bubbles having it being an advertised thing and coming up and seeing it constantly is kind of like Anthony seeing Sebastian and Charles's relationship over and over, blossoming and whatnot. So overall, I think this passage just represents a larger theme of friendship between Charles and Sebastian, and I think that's it. Thank you.